mile in my shoes before you abuse, criticize, and confuse. Let's walk a mile in Elliot Rodgers' shoes. Let's get down to that Isla Vista campus with those tall blondes, with the jocks, the athletic jocks, muscular tall jock. Elliot Rodgers, 5'6", maybe 125, 135 pounds. But the biggest problem of all, Elliot is microphallus. Maybe 4-inch, that's all. So he doesn't have penile performance security. And what do I mean by that? The first question, that's why this question is so important, you stranger. Can't overemphasize how important this question is. To a 12-year-old boy, it's very important. Do you date? Do you masturbate? Have you ever felt inferior about your size? And of course you're going to say yes because he's short and weak and puny. And I'll say I know about that. I'm talking about your sexual size. Nobody ever asked this question, but it's very important. It changes the whole dynamic. What have we got to work with here is what we're talking about here. Is what we're looking at. What have we got to work with? What's the foundation like? So these questions, that question goes to the foundation. It tells me what I have to work with. When you observe the reaction to a question like that, it's a shock question. But it opens Pandora's box. You've got to flush them out before you know what you got to know what you're dealing with in its full specifics. You've got to look the problem in the reality of the problem's face. And you've got to deal with what is right before your eyes. What must it be like for Elliot Rodgers on that Isla Vista campus before the day of retribution? What must that be like? He's worshiping from afar. His only defense system when he's rejected physically is to throw a tantrum and cry. Go up into the room, to his little room, and masturbate. Jigging, it's called jigging and crying. I had a buddy of mine, Joey Hicks, and we went to the dances, 92nd Street YMHA in Manhattan. They had the dances, the famous dances in the 60s. And of course, we struck out all the time. I'd come to the dance, and the fellow that we paid, I think it was a buck or 50 cents, whatever you paid to get into the dance. And he'd call me Little Abby. He said, now Abby, because I'm short, I'm small. Let's begin with that. Let's face facts. And he'd say, Little Abby, you're going to be a good boy today. You're going to obey you mama. Will you mama be proud of what you do here today, Little Abby? And I said, yes, sir, yes, sir. Going inside the dance hall in the 60s, you saw the cool guys getting all the dances. And you saw them dirty boogieing on the dance floor. That's frottage. Grinding is what I'm talking about. You saw it on the dance floor. And the Little Abby is watching as guys, Hicks, Arab, we're watching from the distance, watching cool guy take everything. We're watching cool guy chat the women's up. We're watching cool guy getting physical right on that dance floor. And we're trying to pick up the vacuum from the cool guy, imitate cool guy, pick up cool guy's quirks, do what the cool guy's doing. What's the formula here? What's the answer? There's got to be an answer. There's got to be a formula. There's got to be something that will get a predictable, durable result at a dance hall. And the answer is very simple. There is no answer, is what I'm getting at. These jocks, these studs just look so much better than we did. Period. You can't get around that. That's the problem that has to be dealt with. You shorty has to come up with strategies to get around that problem. And of course, the dance halls are a bad place for a little shorty like me. I remember when I went to Inca Hoots Dance Country Bar, San Diego. And I got out on the dance floor, and man, everybody was taller than me. The cowboys were all taller than me. And I've never felt so insignificant, so insecure out on that dance floor because of my height. And of course my height didn't let me approach any woman. And we're not talking about no beauties here. Now dig, I'm not talking about no beauties here. But there's always an imbalance between men and women in dance halls. First we got to get very, very clear on the problem before we can go anywhere with it. Little shorty, you can't come out there being out of shape. You can't come out there being weak and puny. That's why we went for Charles Atlas. Give me 3 months and put your weak, puny, pukey body in my hands for 3 months. And I'm going to turn you into a fighting He-Man. I'm calling out to my muscle men. I'm calling out to my heroes. I'm calling out to my army of He-Man. I want to coconut your delts. I want to TNT your fists. I want to give you a grip of steel. I want to tree trunk your forearms, football your biceps, and steel horseshoe your triceps. I want to washboard your abs and armor plate your pecs. I want to turn your thighs into huge marble columns of power. I want to diamond shape and bulge out those calves. I want to give you speed, balance, punching power, grabbing power, flexibility, coordination. Then I'm going to send you out into the battlefield and see what happens from there. Then I'm going to send you to the dance hall and see what happens from there. My point in saying this is we're all subject to delusions of grandeur. That example that I just gave is the bait. The little shorty is the roach. And that bait always catches the little shorty like me. Because we want things fast. We want to cut those corners. And it's so important that the little shorty bloods well. It's so important that the little shorty does not cut any corners and goes through the agony. And I said agony of the arena of confrontation and encounter in the now. And the little shorty makes love, as it were, to what is right in front of him, no matter how hellacious it is. And remember, son, if you don't have a medical problem, you don't have a problem. But you do have a concern. We've got to come up with strategies to get around that, to deal with it. And the first is, I need a steel foundation. I need verbal judo skills to perfection. Doc Thompson is right when he says, natural, no good. If it's natural, no good. You've got to learn to do what's not natural, but what's effective and practical. Let's get it.